Tech newbies and gurus. So as we actually usually do, we're gonna look at one other best practice of actually mastering Flutter URs and also trying to come up with some good designs in your Flutter project. So today, as we normally do, we'll be looking at this app here, and we'll be coding this from scratch. So this is actually the UI which we're going to actually mimic. So as you can see, we have this bank app, and you can have some avatar on the app bar, the app name, and then the notification icon and transaction details and this card and all that. So we'll be creating these two pages, and we'll have our bottom navigator here, and then we'll have the card and all that. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So make sure you set your folders as mine. In the lib you should get this folder: constant, data, screens, widgets, and that's all. Yeah, so these are empty folders. Yeah, only this I have added this my colors here. Yeah, so these colors you can always get these hex code colors online, or you can use the Photoshop to get this side of the hex code, and then you can add this one to it. So you get this from uh, Photoshop, and then you add these OXFFs to it anytime you pick the color coding from Photoshop. Or you can also go to just search hex code in Google, and you can actually pick these colors online. Good. So these are the colors actually showing here. So let me close this right here. I have the asset here. All the asset I'm gonna use for this project, it's already in here. I'm gonna use these avatars for this project, so you can see all is here. Perfect. Okay, then let's move into, I'll be using this default font for the project. So you can actually go to Google Font and then download this Poppins, then you get this font, and it's really cool. That's what I want to implement in this project. Yeah, so these are the prerequisites for this video tutorial. So I'm gonna leave this asset and the entire project. After I'm done, I'm gonna leave it on my GitHub rep, and then you can get a copy of this project. But let's get started. I'm gonna take my time to explain each of the code as I code along. You need to follow, and I'll make sure I explain all important lines. Okay, so in the lib, let's first create our main.dat, main.dat. Okay, so this will be our root folder for the project. So what I'm going to do here is only create the theme for the project, and make sure I set things up very well before we actually start the project. So this is a normal Flutter Flutter package we need to import. So material.dat, because we are going to use the material packages we need. Okay, so we need to start with our default function, or the main function, that is the main void. Normally if you create a Flutter project, you already have this in there. Yeah, but I have intentionally start this from scratch, so let's follow along. So we're gonna use the run up. Yeah, the run up, and inside we'll call our first function my app. Very simple, my app. Yeah, just like this, and let me terminate this. Okay, my app. Good. Starting everything from scratch. Okay, so my app here, we're gonna create let's do a stateless widget, and this will have that class stateless widget, and this will have the my app here, my app. Perfect. Okay, so my app has actually extended stateless widget. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is to instead to return a container, let us return a material material app here. Okay, so let me select this. Okay, so material app, we actually gonna make sure we take off the check mode debug. Means if it's in the debug mode, we need to take that one off. So I set this to false so that we don't have the debug banner on our project. Okay, then next is just the title. Yeah, this does not display, but it's in the code. So the title of this project, let me name it Flutter live code bank app. Yes, but make sure you have this in a quote, double or single quote is okay. Okay, so I use single quote for this. That's the title, and this will not actually display on our app but in the code. Okay, so the theme, we want to add some default colors. We want to override what Flutter already provide for us, so I'm gonna use the theme data to actually add some predefined colors for our project, colors and other, the font family, and also add some colors for the app bar. Good. So for the theme, what we'll do first is actually tackle the background, the default background color, and we want it to cover the whole scaffold. So we use the scaffold background color, and this we use colors dot white. Okay, so the default color will be white for us, and we actually have to add our font family. Okay, and I have already included this in the assets, in the asset folder, and the font is actually what, Poppins. That's the name of the font. If you don't know how to include font, I recommend you check our basic tutorial to Flutter, and then we have a dedicated video for learning how to add font to your project. It will teach you everything from scratch, so you can check my beginners learner video for Flutter. Okay, then I have the app bar. We gonna have an app bar theme, and this will, let me call the app bar the app bar theme. Yeah, this one. And I'm gonna actually add some background to this app bar, and this background will be also white. Okay, so we go colors dot white. Okay, after this, let me add some level of elevation. No level, so I set it to 0 so that it will not puff out. It will be very flat. Good. So that is the default app bar for the entire project, and then we'll have a primary search color. So let me primary search. Okay, good. Primary search, and we'll be having colors dot blue. Okay, perfect. We'll make sure the R is here. Okay, perfect. Good. So now we have set our main.dat, and then this is gonna be the theme for our application, but we'll be adding more in other folders. Yes, but this will be the basic one for our project. Okay, so now I'm gonna create the home, but let me see, I'm gonna skip the home here and then add some files which will be very relevant. But before that, let me add that before I forget, so that we can build upon it later. So here will be home, and this home will call any default class that we create in any file. But our default home will be a class we are yet to create, and we're gonna call that base screen. Okay, let me keep it simple. base screen. We'll create this later. Yeah, there will be an error, but we'll create that later. Okay, good. Next is let me quickly take you through the mobilebank.yaml. What you have to include is the font are some Flutter. You need to include this in your project, and then you need to include or make sure you call the assets. Yeah, how to add assets, we have a dedicated video to it. If you don't really understand this, you can check that. And how to add font, very simple. We also have a dedicated video for that. You can check our other videos for it. Yeah, good. So let's go to the other part. What we'll do here is to add an app styling. Now we already have the constant of styling, and this color constant will also be used in our entire application. We can call these variables so that these colors will be applied to certain part of the project. Okay, so for our constant, I'm going to add a file, and this will be a generic app styling for our app. So I'm gonna define some properties in here. So style, let me call it app test style. Yeah, because this is mainly gonna be applied to our test. Okay, so that good. So in here I'll import that material that, so package and then we import Flutter material. So Flutter slash material dot dat. So let's choose this. Secondly, I'll need this one, the constant. So color constant, I add to it. Good. So what are we going to do here? We are simply going to create a class, and this class will be having some variables which will be assigned to some styling, which we will use later on in the project. So I'm gonna call this app test. It's just a class, app test style. Okay, test style. Okay, so app test style, and we'll have our curly braces here. So in this class, what we'll do is to have some static variables, static let's use a constant, and then we'll have a test style variable. So I'll first call the test style. No, this wrong. Test style. So I'll call the test style widget, and then I'm gonna actually assign a variable to this. I'm gonna actually assign some properties to this variable. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this capital. So my card, this will be for card. How to style our card, we're gonna handle that here and then call it later in other files. Okay, so we said my card style title, sorry, my card title, and then this is actually a test style. So this variable is actually gonna be assigned to this style. So anytime we call that variable, this style will be applied to it. So in this style, we're gonna actually define the color. Anytime we call this particular variable, my card title, it should return this style for us. So color, then we have some defined colors inside our constant. That is the color underscore constant. That's why I included. So I call one is K third color. Yeah, perfect is here. It's inside a constant, and then I have font weight. We're gonna add the font weight, and this font weight will be, let's say, font weight. Let's give it a font weight, a value of W700. Yeah, Yeah, this, and then we're gonna have a font size. Anytime we call the my card title, it should return this style. So font size, sorry, 16. Okay, perfect for this. So let me terminate this. We are done with this. And next one, I'm gonna duplicate this. So copy and paste, and I'll do some changes. Yeah, assign other variables. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, the closing tag. Okay, so let me copy it well. Yes, I paste 1 2 3. Then let me paste the next one. Okay, so for this one, we actually gonna change the variable to subtitle. Since we have title here at the top, we need to have a subtitle for our card. So subtitle will also have a different styling. So we have this color, and here we're gonna use white color. So we call colors dot, no, this needs to be sorry, colors dot, let's use white for this. Yes, perfect. And then for the font weight, it's gonna be the same, but our font size, it's gonna be 18. Yeah, a bit bigger for the subtitle. And then we're gonna actually add another variable. This will be called the body text for, but this should be capital. Yeah, we want to keep it capital. Body underscore tests. Okay, that's perfect. And then for this side, we will use the K primary color already defined in our constant. So primary. Oh, don't keep this cup. Yeah. This one. Okay. Then we font width is okay, the same, and then font size, let's keep this to 20. Okay. Yeah. That's the body test. And the next one, we're gonna look at another variable, and this will be the list style. Since we want to add some list style to our project, we define that here, the styling for a list style. Okay, so I have list style underscore title, and this will have basically two. So we're gonna have the K primary color, yes, and then here we'll only have font size, no font weight. Perfect. So for our list style, good. So we are basically done with this, but we're gonna add an additional one. Let me see this one. Is everything okay? That's okay. Let me add an additional variable styling. So this one will be the subtitle. The first one was the title, but this is the subtitle for our list style. Okay, underscore. But this one, the color will be colors dot, oh, not capital, colors dot gray. We want to use gray for this, so not blue gray, but gray itself. So let me change this. Then our font will keep it at 15. Perfect. So we are done with this app test style, and this will really help us in other files, because we'll be calling these variables and the styling will be applying to our code, and this will make it very simple. Good. So we are done with the styling. Now let's actually add some models to our project. We want to actually mimic a model in the real world where we can actually pick data or call data from an API, or call data from probably our database or Firebase, or whatever AWS or whatever. So we're gonna actually mimic this model in here, and this can be turned into accessing data from external sources. Okay, so for here in the data, we'll create this. This will be the data for the card. So we'll say card underscore data, the card data. So that, okay. Inside here, let me first do import for our material that package. Okay. Then we have our material. Okay, good. Then next let me add the constant here. Yes, constant. Yes, I will need this. So let me add the constant. No, color. Yes, then I add colors. So this one, perfect. So in here, I'm gonna create a card model, right? So I call it, the first one will be class. Class, and let me call this card model. Okay. So when you are using an API or database, you need to create something like this. But here we'll only be mimicking that kind of data here to help us finish this project fast. So let's say string, and then our first value will be our card holder name. Okay, card holder name is here, and second will be string, and this string will be, no, let me start with the small card number. Okay, card number, and the next one will be a string, and this string will be a string for expire date. Okay, so we call it exp in short for expire, and then we add the date. Okay, perfect. Next will be a string for string, and this string will be our CVV. Okay, and then next will be our color. Okay, so color, and color will be our what? Our card color. Perfect. Okay. Now we have a model here. Now let's add the constructor of the model. So card model, and let me put it here. Perfect. This is a constructor of our model, and let me actually terminate this. So for our model, let me see. We need to first use this keyword to call each of them, to refer back to each of them. So the first one is this. So the same, that is how we create constructor. Sorry. So this second one is this dot card number. Next is this dot card color. Yes. Okay, next is this dot CVV. Then the last one will be this dot what? This dot date as well. Okay, good. You can arrange it in any format. Whether you put this first, that first is okay. Now, since we'll be having a list of card in our project, we will use some dummy data here. So be mindful of this. What I mean is, this is gonna be a dummy data, and this same data can be pulled from an API or a database sitting somewhere. but for the project sake, we're gonna use a dummy data for this, and this will actually be a list. And what list is this? It's a list for the car model. So we actually writing a list for the car model. So we call this my cards, and this will return a list. A list. So we use this. So let me terminate this. Okay, perfect. And inside we will have number one will be our card model. Okay, and for this we need to put in some data here. The first one will be the card name. We have the card name, the color, the CVV, and all that. Okay, so it's basically the same. The list will be basically the same, but there is no what this in front of it. This is the lists of our car model. Okay, know this, yes. And for here we only need to provide a dummy data, so we can write any name in here, and this is in a string format. Okay, so here is actually the card number, so we can simply use let me see, card number, sorry, yes, okay. And the card number, we're gonna use the asterisk, yeah, at least 4 each is okay. 2 3 4. Then we will write something like the last number, yeah, just to depict the real world card, that's all. Okay, then our CVV is here, so we can add anything, it doesn't really matter, we can put in anything there. Then what about our card color? This card color, we actually want to call the color from our constant. Okay, so for our constant we will use one of the colors, but let me see which color will be appropriate for our first card. Our first card, let's use the, I have one color in there called the KBB. It is just black color, yes, KB background, KB, yes, this one is black. And the next one will be the expiring dates. Okay, so this expiring date, let's say probably it's gonna be maybe 12 20 30. 2 3s, okay, yes. Then we create our next card. It's just a duplicate of this, and then change of data. Okay, so very simple, huh? Next we can call it, yeah, whatever you want to. Then we leave this, or maybe we change it to another one to make it a bit different. And this color, we can change this so that the card does not look the same. So we say the K secondary is okay. Then this, we can change it for it to be a bit different. So let me use 2 here, and to be a bit different, 24, yes. Make sure you add the comments here to prevent you getting any errors in your code. Okay, perfect. So we are actually done with the data for our card, And this is simply a model, a constructor, and then a list for the model. Simple. And then we have added inbuilt sample what data in here, and this can be also used to mimic the same of an API or calling info from the database. So very simple. Okay, so next is to create another file, and this file will actually also have the model for our transaction data. So let me show you the picture as we continue so that you will know what I'm actually talking about. So this data is actually this list here, and this is for this card. So the second one, we have this one here, it's gonna represent this, and the next one we are going to create will be for these transactions. Let's create that model. Okay, good. So inside our data folder, we're gonna create one file called transaction underscore data, then dot that. Okay, so transaction. Okay, correct. For transaction, we import a package as usual, and then we have a Flutter material. Okay, perfect. And then we create a class here. This class will be called transaction, and this transaction, let me call it transaction model. Okay, for the tutorial sake, transaction model. And then we have a curly bracket here. So after our curly bracket, the transaction actually have, let's see, the transaction, we have the name, we have the avatar, we have the current balance, and then we have probably the month. We have the month, and then we have the percentage, change percentage, and then yeah, we have some colors and up arrow and down arrow, but that up arrow and down arrow will be handled somewhere else in the code. So our first name for our model or our model property will be name first, and second one will be avatar, and third one will be current balance. So we have our current balance. Okay, so balance, let's use capital balance. Oh, sorry. Okay, perfect. Then third, we're gonna have current balance. Third, we're gonna have a month. Yes, month is okay. Then next, we're gonna have change percentage. Okay, percentage. So this should also be a string. So change percentage. Okay, change percentage. Okay, change percentage. Let's do change percentage indicator. Yes, this one is okay. Then next will be a string for change percentage. Let's use change percentage here. The other one was change percentage what indicator. That is the first one. This one will be only change what percentage indicator and percentage. They are two different. Next one will be color. Perfect. Okay. So now let's add our constructor. Constructor is simply the same, but this time around we only start with this in front of all that instead of the string. So I can say it's a copy of this and then a this in front like this. Very easy. Then you make sure you add a this here. Means referring back to the name. And let's go same here, this. So let me be a bit quick here. This constructor, okay. Okay, good. But don't forget, for the constructor, we need to actually add the round bracket around it. Okay, and this we use a comma instead of semicolon. Okay, for the constructors. Okay. Let's terminate this. Okay, good. So what we're gonna do is to also add a list to this. We need to add a list to this, and this list will be basically the same as the one we did before, but this will just change. We'll just change the name to suit this model. So lists, and what is the list about? A list is a transaction list. So transaction model, and we call it my transaction, and this should be equal to okay. So for this transaction, first we're gonna have the same model, but this will only have what? We'll only have some assigned data to it, but no string in front. So make sure you take off all the string, and this will not have a semicolon but rather have a column. Okay, good. So the first one is name. Name we can assign some name to it, and then but first let me we actually gonna first call the avatar first, and so we will say the avatar, we're gonna use an asset image for our avatar. So we already have those assets inside our project. So assets slash icons, so we have that in our project. We have avatar one.png. okay, so this is what I'm currently adding, assets and icons, and these are the pictures we actually have and we are including in our project. Okay, next is the current balance. Yes, right after this. So we're actually gonna feed in any dummy data. So I'm gonna add a currency here. This can be any currency of your choice. You can add any currency of your choice. It's just a dummy data. So let's say we add this amount, and then the next one will be the change percentage. Yes, change percentage, and this change percentage, we will have some dummy data in here. Doesn't matter what you put in here. Yeah, we just want it to look good, so I'm just presenting the data well. Okay, good. And then next will be our indicator, and our indicator is a simple string which will be handled in another code. So we'll say we'll use up down up down. So this is up here will represent some up icon or something just to show the up arrow on the interface for us to see just the difference. That's all. So next will be the month, arranging the data well. That's all. So the month, we will say month of June, and then January, and then next will be the name. So name will be any name of your choice. Okay, so let's say this is Masawa. Okay, so then next you add the color. Okay, so basically we have done all, left with color. Okay, so color we call colors dot green for this one, and then we're gonna give it some color gradient of maybe, yeah, avatar. What's wrong with this? We have avatar, and oh, okay, this one here we need to add simply just like the transaction mode here, like this. Very easy. And I close it like this. Yes, so we have this search here. Next, let's go add more data to this, and we need to simply duplicate the same thing, and then we make sure there's no error in there. So the error is the comma left here, so we need to add all this comma to actually stop this error. And then color, we say colors dot green. Let me double check this. My transaction, avatar assets. Oh, this is wrong. Icons. Name, color. Actually, this seems right. Why this error? Okay. Okay, let me just duplicate the rest, and let me double check. So this app gen transaction model. Let me see, did I leave anyone out? Name, avatar, current balance, percentage, month, name, colors. Yeah, let me duplicate this. Colors. Okay, I'm coming. I'll double check this. Colors. Okay, so let's say we have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so we're gonna have we're gonna just change this to 2 and maybe change the value, some to down, some to up, just to make the up a little bit beautiful. So I would change this to down, and maybe change the values. Yeah, and then let me see this. This will be, the top was 2, this is 3, so this will be up, so I keep it high, this will be up, so, and this will be probably, that's no matter, and this will be 4, 4, this will be down, so let's say this will be down, down, okay. Down, we can keep this 0.2, and then we can change the name, and the name is okay, and the name is okay, yes. So okay, I need to check these colors, but let me say this is orange. This color problem, or let me see. Oh yeah, this needs to be color, not string. Okay, yeah, I need to keep the data type to be color. So perfect, the error has been solved. Good. Next is to first create the template for this card, so that we can use in any of the pages here or the app views we're gonna create. So then we'll also create a template for this transaction page. So let's get started. First, we start with the card template or widget, but we're gonna use these data we have already predefined and the styling, and this will be much easier for us to create the widget. So let's create a file, and this file will be called my underscore card. You can call it any other name. So here, let's first have, oh my, let me change this to mine, not my. Okay, good, like this, my underscore card. Perfect. So let's do an import of import for our material.dat. So as usual, then we have the material. Next is we have to also import let's have an import for our constant, and this constant will be the styling. So the style will be using this styling here, so we will import that. And secondly, we'll also use our card data. This card data is very important for this widget we are about to create, because we have all the data that we need to use there. So let me add that. So import and this package, and this package will be from the constant folder, and we have card, no, not the constant folder, this is from the data folder. Okay, so I add data here, and for data folder we have the card data. Perfect. Okay, so material, styling, and data. Good. So that is what we're gonna use here. So let's actually create a stateless widget. Yeah, stateless widget, and for this we'll call this one my card. Okay, this is the class name, my card. Okay, and for this class name, what we'll do is, since we want to use the data from our data card, we're gonna actually add this. We're gonna call this card model inside this file. So final and a card, we call the card model because we're gonna use the data in the card model, and equal to card. Okay, next is we're actually gonna call, we create simply the, we refer back to the construct. So this one here, we first added a unique key, and then we're gonna use the card in there, so we call it this dot card, and we add what, card constant. But before that, we need to actually call or use the class name that is my card here. Yes, if you don't add that, you're gonna get an error. So then we add the super key, and then a key. Perfect. So now let's go to our build, our widget build tree. Here we're gonna return a container. That is okay for this one, but for, let's actually add some styling to our container. First we add a pattern, and then we add an edge insert. Edge insert, let's use the edge insert.all, and then the value will be 20 for this one. Then we're gonna check our height, so let's add a height of maybe 200, it's okay, and then we add a width of probably 350. That's also perfect. Then let's add decoration. So decoration, we actually gonna add a box, not box constraint, we're gonna add a box decoration. And for our box decoration in there, we're gonna add our color, and this color will call the card color we have. So that is why we included that file. So card color, we call it from our data, and then we also gonna have a border. So make sure you check spellings anytime you're coding, and then we add the border. This we're gonna use the border radius. Yes, border radius. Then we add dot circle, sorry. Then it's gonna be 20. So border radius for our card. This decoration will help us to set the border radius of our card to 20, and then this color is being actually called from what we already have in our model here. So we're calling this color, and this color has already been set to a constant, so that is why we call this. Okay, perfect. So this is gonna ship this container, and this will be the height and then the padding around our card, and this will help us give a color to the card and also give a border radius to it. So for example, here, this radius here, this radius there, and there will be affected by this. Okay, good. Next is we actually gonna add a row, and this row will have the details of our card. Okay, so before we do that, let's append this to a child. So row, and for the row we need to also add some styling to it, or we need to make sure we check the cross alignment first. So cross alignment, and then we add the cross alignment the start. Okay, so that the details will be at the starting point of our row, and then we have the main axis alignment, and we call the main again main axis alignment. Then this one we use dot space evenly. That means it's gonna actually spread all the content we will write on this in this road widget evenly, like the spaces are gonna arrange by itself very well. Oh, but evenly, I think we should use space between, so that there'll be spaces in between the content. So yeah, I'll prefer this rather than the evenly. And for our row, we can have children in the row. So we're gonna have our content in this row. So first, since we want to arrange the content in a column inside a row, we have our children, one of them or more of them, to be a column inside a row. So let's use a column here, and this column will also have its own properties, like cross align, and this cross align will also be basically the same. Let me make it mother widget. Yes, so between. Good. Okay, and after this, let's add another children here. So this is children inside children, and for this we'll also have a cross alignment of start, so that it will all follow in line. But first, let me add the column. It's the column here, and then inside the column I add this, and next we're gonna have another children inside the column again, and this will actually bear the real details we want. That is the tests, and for the test we'll actually have our string in here. This will be the card name. That's the first one, and after the card name we'll actually add some styling to this. Okay, so after the card name, let's add some styling to this, but this styling will be making use of the styling we already predefined inside our code, and one of them is the, let me start with the style, and one of them is the what, my card title. So since it's a title, we want to add the predefined styling we have already added to this file, and the variable we need to call is what, my card styles. But first we need to call the name of the class, that is app test style. Let me show you this one. Call the name of the class, then we will append it with the variable. Okay, so we append this, where is it, this one, then we do dot this. Perfect. Then we apply the style. Okay, next is the card holder's name. We also gonna make use of one of our data, and this, the card holder's name. So here, instead to use the card name, this will be dynamically called from our data card. So card dot card holder's name. So good. And this will use the subtitle instead of the title for the card holder's name. Where are we getting this? Someone will ask. This is actually from what? Our model, from our card data, as you can see. Yes. So let's continue. And well, from this is what we called here at the top, and it's just a card, and it's calling from the what? The card model. Good. So let's continue. So let's have this is set. What we'll do next is to add the card number also from our card data. So card number, and we call this card number. Okay, then what styling are we going to apply to this? The subtitle is okay, so we leave it like that. Next is our row for, let me see, we're gonna have another row for our expiration date. Okay, so let me simply add it here. Row after this, let me see, after our test column, card name, card test, and then we have card name. Okay, card name is here. Then we want to add our card number, but our card number, let's add our card number below the column. Wait, below this column. Yes, okay. This column is okay. Okay, here. Oh, I copied something here. Okay, so here I copied this, and I want to actually add that after our column. Okay, so we want to add another row to it, so we are adding that to our column here. So let me be sure, this one is card name, and after the card name we add our card number, but we want the card number should be below this. Okay, and this card, after this card number, we actually gonna add another row, and this row will have our expiration date. So let me add this very quick. Row, and inside the row we'll have children. Okay, and for the children we actually gonna have a column inside the children, and this column will first have a cross axis alignment, and then a cross. Let's use the dot stats. Yes, then inside the column we'll have other children, and here we're gonna have our expiring date, so we call it the expire date, and then we'll add our subtitle to it. So very easy, just like this one. Yes, and then we paste in here. So but this is gonna be expired dates. And oh, let me keep all capital so that it looks nice on the card. Good. Then here will be, instead of card name, here will be card dot expire date. Yes. Then we keep this styling the same because it's a subtitle. Yeah. Next, let's look at after this, we're gonna add a size box to below this. Let me see. Tests our column. Okay. After our column, let me add a size box here to give some small space for other widgets. Size box, and this will have a width of 20. Okay. And for after this size box, we're gonna have a let's say, let's use a column for, so I copy this and then paste here, and this will be our CVV number, so in caps for the card to look good, so like this. And then after that, this styling is okay, my card is okay. Then we have the second one, we have card dot CVV. Okay, and this is also a subtitle, so that is also okay for us. Okay. Next, what we're gonna do is to add a small icon, and this icon will actually be an icon of the card, a card type you want. So for example, MasterCard, Visa, or what. So this one we want to keep it in a Visa card rather, because I have an icon for the Visa card. So let's add that icon to it, but I want to do this copy and paste here, this column here. Okay, so, and I'm gonna place this right after the row. No, not the row. Oh, let me see, should I place it row here, or I should place it after the column here? Yeah, I guess this is okay here. There, so we're gonna have it after this, and this one will be cross-axis alignment. Let's use the main axis alignment because it's gonna be at the top of the card, so we use the main axis and main axis. Then we use space between. Yes. Then for our children, we will have I need to clear this because we're gonna use a container in here. Container, and this container will actually have a width because we want our icon to show in this predefined width and height we are setting. Okay, so 50-50, so that's the visa icon, looks very nice. So we're gonna have a child, and this child will actually have the image of the visa. So image, let's use image dot assets, because we're gonna call it from the asset folder, and we use this. So this is assets slash icons, and the name is vcard, so we use this vcard.png. Perfect. Okay, so we are done with our cards. So this is really looking good now. So what we'll do next is to also add our transaction side to it. So if we look at our screenshot, now we have actually done this card here. So we have done a widget for this card, which will be called in other pages to display this, and we're also going to have a widget or a template to actually house this transaction. So basically from here, all this we need to house it in a widget, which will be called in the real pages. Okay, so since we are done with the card, let's move to the transaction page. So I'm gonna create a file called transaction, and this should be maybe transaction underscore card is okay with that. Okay, good. So in here, let me be a little bit lazy and then copy all this, because we will need this here. So yes, we'll need the styling, and then we will not need the card. Let me see, we will not need the card data, but we will need the transaction data. So instead to add this here, let me add a transaction instead. Okay, perfect. But we will need the default styling, and we'll need the material.dat. Okay, we will also need something new here. This is this will be the font. So the font we actually included at the beginning, we're gonna make use of it here. So font will be in here. We'll import the font. Now let's create our stateless. So sorry, a stateless widget, and this will be called transaction what card. Perfect. Okay, so like we did before in our card, we actually use the data model. So we called this inside our card. We're gonna call the same, because we're gonna use the transaction model in here. Okay, so we call the same here, and this will use transaction model. So instead of card model, we simply use what? Transaction model. Yes, that is why we actually included our transaction underscore data here. So next is instead of card here, we need to use transaction. We are using the transaction model. Okay. Transaction. Let me see. This is transaction model. Yes. Constant transaction model. So what's wrong here? Oh yeah, this side. You're using card here, not card. It should be transaction. and let me double check. So final transaction model transaction, and then we have a constant. Oh, let me see this. No, there's a mistake here. This one. Yes, perfect. So now let's actually add our transaction style here. So like we did before in our previous page, we're gonna do a similar thing here, but this will be, there'll be a little changes here. So the same edge insert for all, but this time around we'll keep it the edge insert to 10, the padding to 10, and the decoration, for the decoration here there will be a small change because it's a little smaller than what we did for the card. So the decoration box, box decoration, then this will have a border, a border radius, and this border radius, let me see, border radius, let's use the circle, and this will be 20 for the border radius as we did for the card, and we will have a border, and this border, this border will be setting all the borders dot all, will add color to the border. Okay, so and the color for the border will be, let's say, colors dots, let's use gray, and then let's use the shading 300. Okay, so we have for this set, now we have set the borders, we have set the radius, and next what we have to do inside our container is to now add a row, and this row will house our list of transactions. So first let me append it to a child, and this child will have a row. So this row will have the normal, oh no, let's use the main axis rather, main, oh no, main axis, the main, we use space between, not the end, space between. Yes, and then let's see, after this let's have children in the row. Yes, and for this children, let's say for this children, let me see, let's have another row in a row. Yes, we're designing our interface. So, and for this it can also have a child, and for the child it can have a container, and this container will control this container inside, and we need to set the height for our transaction display. So the height will be 60, and then we need to have the width of the transaction display, and that will also be 60. Yeah, let's have padding for this, and padding we'll use the edge insert. We use all. Okay, so we keep it, we keep edge insert of 5. Yeah, good. Then what we'll do here is to add some decoration to this. So decoration, box decoration as user, and then we're gonna have a border, and this border let's use a border radius instead. Okay, border radius, and we call the border radius like this. Okay, border radius dot circle. Okay, circular rather, and this will have a value of 20. Okay, so border radius with a value of 20. Next is to look at the color we want to use for that. But this color, we want to keep it. Let's use the transaction color inside our predefined one. So transaction dot color. Yes. And after our box decorator, we'll actually add the images we have in our asset. So it should be a child, and then we call the image, and this image should be image.assets, and we'll have all images for our avatar. So we call this, and this will help us display all the images. It's this. Perfect. Next is to add some space in between here. These are container still in the row. Well, we'll add some small spacing in between. We use our favorite spacing widget size box, and then we add the width to this, and we add a width of 10. Okay, so after the space, what comes next? What comes here next is simply the title of the transaction, that is the name, and then the month. So very simple. So since we have our avatar here for all the image of the transaction, and then we want to add column. Yes, and this column will bear one, it will bear the name, and then it will also bear the month to display on our transaction. But let's keep it in a cross-axis alignment way. So cross-axis alignment, and this is dot start. Yes. Next, we have to also make sure our main axis is spaced evenly. So let me add the main space around. No, space evenly is good. Or let me use space between. Yeah, put some space between our widget. Okay. After that, let me add children here, and then we'll have the first test displaying. So what am I doing? What I'm doing is now I have added this. This is what I'm styling now. This is for each of them, and we have added the transaction avatar, and now I'm working on this, adding the name of each transaction, and this should happen dynamically. So, and then after that we'll add the month to this month. The month is below. Yes, then after that we'll move to the balance, and then the percentage, and then the up and down. That is what we're doing now. Good. So let's go to the name. The name of the transaction, we're using a test widget, and this test widget For the test widget, let me see. Let's use the transaction name data. Okay, so transaction dot name. Yeah, there's a mistake here. Transaction dot name. Perfect. And we'll add our default styling. So we call the style. And here we're gonna use the app style. App style dot the list. This is gonna be the list title. Yes, for this one, because we are displaying it in a list format, so we add that style. Next is to add what did I copy? Let me be sure. Okay, good. The next one will be our month, so transaction dot month. Perfect. And the styling will be, instead of title, we will use let me see, subtitle for the month. Yes. Okay. Next, we're gonna have a row, row, and this row will actually bear our current balance, and then also have these up and down indicators. Okay, so first we're gonna have the row. Let me save this, and then we'll have it here. Row. Yes. Let me add another row here. Row. Let me see. Okay, so we have a row here, and we need to make sure we have our main, and making the same a main here, and what we'll do is to add a column children, just like we did here. Yeah, so basically the same. Basically the same. So I've copied and pasted, but I'm gonna do some changes here. This one will first check this will be different. That is the height and all that. This one will be off. Okay, and then let me see. Okay, so for this one, what we'll do is to check this. We don't need this one for the cross axis. We only need the main. It's okay. Then we have the column children, column children. So this one, let's add the transaction dot current balance here. Yes, and which styling? list star. Okay, this one is okay. We use the list star. That is okay for it. So list star is okay. Next is let's look at after the balance. We don't need this. Yeah, so I clear this off. Next is we're gonna add our percentage indicator. Okay, percentage indicator here. So to add this percentage indicator inside our, or let me see the design. So we have this and our indicator. So we're gonna use the app to do this app indicator to have some simple logic to control the up and down here. Okay, so after our tests, let's add a row. And the row will have children. So I open this up. Now inside our children, I'm gonna add the transaction, and this will be the transaction indicator. Transaction dot change indicator, and this will be equal to string up. Okay, so this app will actually be used to trigger out or display an icon when this app is actually called in any of the projects. So if this transaction dot change percentile indicator is equal to app, then let's display this icon. So that's why we're using this. Then let's display this icon. So in this icon, what we're gonna display is to have some default font awesome icons dot level up. We use the level up. Good. And next will be the size of this icon, and let's keep it at 10. And then we'll have the color, and this color goes colors dot. Let's keep it at green. Okay, so after this, if the percentile or percentage indicator is not equal to up, then we should display a different icon. So icon will have the same, but there will be some small difference. So should display another one. Instead to display up, we'll display the down. And 10 is the same, but the color will change to red. Okay, so this is what we are doing. If the change percentile indicator is equal to up, then display this green icon here, this small green icon. If it is not equal to up, if the percentile change indicator is not equal to up, then it should display this icon down and it should be red. Perfect. That is the logic here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is to add a change percentage to this. So change percentage is this one here. Okay, so let's add this by using a simple test, but we need to do this below the last icon. So this icon here, I'm gonna add another widget here. but before that, let me give some space in between. So I use the size box, and here instead to be a height, it will be a width. Yeah, just a space between it. So, and then 5. Yeah, 5 is okay. After that, I add the test widget, and this test widget will have our transaction here. Transaction dot change. Perfect. Okay, change percent. Good. Then we'll add some default styling to this test. So we'll use the app style and app style dot subtitle. So we use the list style. Oh, title. No. We use the subtitle rather. So list dot subtitle. Perfect. Okay. So we're getting closer. We're getting closer to finishing this. Okay, so now let me quickly run us through this. So what we did in the transaction page is to first create the avatar and then create the borders for this. And after that, we added a transaction.name and transaction.month, and then we added this indicator and then this change percentile here. So as we can see, this logic will handle the change indicator. Good. Then here is actually having the borders and all that, and the edge for the radius. Okay, and then we call the name, and then the month here, and then the indicators beneath. Okay, and our card, my card, you can see the card name, and then the card name is calling this app style. The styling, default styling, we have already added here, and the holder name also using that style. So you can see this one is the default up here, and this will be called from our card data. This one is defined here. Expiration date, this one here, and then the CZV number is here, and this one will be calling from our card data. Okay, perfect. So the card data, how do we call it? We call the card.cvv. You see it here, and then we have the card.expire date. Then we have the name is card holder's name. So when you click this, it should take you to our data page, and this is our model, and this model actually have a card list, and these are the values we are actually calling this, that. Perfect. Good. Then let's move on to the next pages for our app.